Okay, so everything's mounted now, solid, using those adapters that I built. It's Loctited down, so these nuts here are Loctited, and it's very solid, up and down, back and forth and stuff. So it's not going to be a vibration issue. The Emax motors, a common issue I have with these is they don't include enough lead wire off their motors. For some reason on these smaller 1306 motors, and on this particular build that became a problem because I didn't have enough motor lead to go to these middle pads on my ESC. And I like having slack on my wire for obvious reasons. If you break an arm, you don't want to break an arm and then all of a sudden it just yanks on the pads and breaks the pads off. So what I did is I found some silicon wire, a little bit larger of a gauge than comes on the motors, but it works just fine. And I'll be able to put these in here and just kind of, so I have plenty of slack. The stack height along with the split comes out to from the bottom of the split to the top of the stack where the USB is. Comes out to be roughly about 21 millimeters. Okay, so I got everything compressed down to, I'm just kind of eyeballing it here, but I'm going to go with 21 millimeters. Okay, and that's important because when you fit the frame on, even though there's plenty of room here in the Japalura, a surprising amount of room, the problem with the stack is that you have that USB connector on the top, and the last thing you would want to do is have that run into the frame. And you know, so we'll just put this on here. Let me show you real quick here, hopefully real quick. There we go. Okay, so you can see I have, it's pretty much the perfect amount of space. There is some space, about 1 millimeter, between the USB connector and the frame carbon piece, so the USB connector is not going to be grounding out on it. And just in case there's a little bit of a wreck or something, I know these are really strong uprights and stuff, especially with the carbon and everything else, but if it becomes squished down a little bit, I don't want to hit that USB connector and squish it down or break it off the board. So it worked out really good. The other thing that worked out really nice too is I really wanted to run the battery on the top of this frame and not the bottom, because I kind of like getting closer to the ground without having to worry about tripping up on your battery. And so it looks like I'll be able to do that because I can see all the way through the battery strap placement here, and it doesn't look like, even with the TX20 on it, it doesn't look like it's going to hit any components. So I'm going to probably end up running the battery on the top. So that worked out really nice. We'll have to see. I mean, I still have to put the TX20 on here, and I still have to put figure out where I'm going to put my my radio receiver. I checked the mounting here with the RunCam split camera, and there's plenty of space in the Japalura for a full-size camera, so that won't be any bit of an issue at all. And where I mount it here, there'll be plenty to tilt it back and stuff without running into the boards, because I did use the 20 by 20 stack. So there you go. And yeah, so I'm just going to go around and tin everything and start welding everything up. Okay, so where I'm at right now is I got the motors hooked up to the ESCs. I got a little bit of slack here so that if I have a broken arm, I have the RX hooked up, and I have the latest firmware flashed on this so that I can run my Lewis script so it'll pick it up properly. I have the RunCam split video going to this side of the FC, so it picks up the OSD, and then it comes out here, which will hook up to the TX20. Okay. Oh yeah, also on the receiver here too, I have the smart port hooked up to PPM. What I'm going to do with that is I'm going to assign PPM to the soft serial so I can get my Lewis scripts to run. And I'll put a link down below on instructions on how to do that in beta flight. So, and then here I'm running the voltage straight off the pack for the TX20. The TX20 will take 724 volts, and it has a built-in 3 amp 5 volt BEC. So I'm just gonna, instead of using a buck converter, I'm just gonna go ahead and use the TX20 to run the RunCam. So it just makes it a lot cleaner all the way around. And because I'm going to use pack voltage, I had to attach these two leads here, and then these will go to the TX20 straight from the main battery terminal. Let's see here. Oh, did I cover the... Okay, so we got the buzzer is also on. That's these two wires here, and that's your 5 volt pad here, and then right next to it says BB. That's for beeper. So about ready to wrap it up here, guys, and then hook it up and see if she blows. All the wiring's pretty much done. Hooked it up to beta flight. Everything looked great. Motors ran. Set up my receiver here. Set up my smart port through the CLI. Like I said, I'll give you the commands to do that. You know, you have to hook up through soft serial on this board here. Works great. I got my Lewis script to work on my QX7. I just have to hook up my beeper, but I'm not going to do that until the top's on. I want to see where I want to place it. Very tight little build here, but nice build. It wasn't really that bad. In fact, the purple 215 build was much more difficult. Way more difficult than this. And I think it's just because the way I thought out how the boards were going to come together, which way they were going to turn in order to get the stack height down, you know, turning the VTX 180 degrees so that the button of the VTX doesn't rest on top of the USB connector for the flight controller. Just, you know, turning the RunCam split around 180 degrees so that the cable actually runs underneath between the ESCs and the RunCam split board here. So the other end of this cable is actually in the back over here, and then just kind of laid it down so so it didn't, you know, get hung up on any of the subcomponents on the ESCs. Yeah, so anyway, that's it. Very tight build. I mean, very tight together, but a really good little build. I just have to put the receiver. I'm just going to go ahead and mount the receiver kind of like this. And then I'm just, you know, this is the only part that radiates on a receiver anyway. So I'm just going to kind of have this come out to the side with a zip tie. And then I'll heat shrink this to protect it. And then on the zip tie, I'll also heat shrink over the top of that as well. So it should be pretty good. It shouldn't be able to lift up into the propellers. So yeah, so I'll button it all up and then I'll show you when it's all done. We'll weigh it, give you the final weight and all of that stuff, and then I'll go out and do a flight test video on it, and I'll also upload that. So